The first thing to say on that is that marketers should wear a much wider hat or a broader hat than they have done in the past. It's not just about media, it's not just about the latest marketing communications campaign. It's thinking more about where the whole company is, sitting down with finance, working out what the cash flow is like, whether advertising can be afforded, whether it even makes sense to advertise now. I mean, we know that companies that advertise during recessions and periods of crisis, we know that those tend to come out more stronger than or more strongly than their competitors. But I think you can't just focus, marketing can't just focus on pure marketing issues. It's got to be much wider than that. And I think it's sitting down and coming up with plans. So we know where we were. We know that in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the pandemic, we had to concentrate on logistics. We had to make sure supply chains were in place. We had to make sure that orders that were made could be fulfilled and delivered to our customers, primarily through an online communications channel. We had to make sure all of those things were in place, and that's largely been done now. Now it's more about thinking about the future, and do we expect the almost inevitable economic turmoil to be a V-shaped recession with a fairly steep decline but quick recovery, or whether it's going to be slightly lengthier than that. And I think context is key as well. So understand where your brand is, understand what your brand promises, what your brand values are, but primarily where you want your brand to be in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, and a year's time, and then work back from there. So we work with auto brands, for example, across Europe, across the globe actually, and I guess there's not a lot of traffic into dealerships at the moment, but one thing would be to consider, as we're coming out of the lockdown phase, do we want to start advertising in advance of that? Should we advertise as the lockdown eases? Do we want to be promoting expensive top of the range cars, or is it cheaper, more basic versions? And if it is top of the range, which elements of top of the range are we concentrating on? So there's a whole host of things, but primarily the role is tactical and strategic at the moment is really key, because you've got to understand where you want to be in a year's time and how we're going to get there, and start putting those plans in place now.